Good evening, everyone. How are you? Can you hear me all? Welcome to this Get the Gloss Masterclass with Jane Scrivner. I'm Victoria Woodhall. I'm editorial director of Get the Gloss, and I'm delighted to see some familiar faces in the audience this evening, and to welcome for the first time Jane, who is one of the leading experts globally on natural and organic skincare. And she has traveled the world. She knows everything that is to know about facial oils. She's discovered them at source and has built this really incredible, high-performing natural skincare empire. And it's really, we're really delighted to have you here. Hi, Jane.
Hi, good to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, brilliant. And you know, we've got this amazing opportunity to work with some of your products this evening and to experience not only how they feel, but to find out a little bit more about them and why they're so good for skin health, because this is really what we're here to cover, the fundamentals of skin health and finding skin confidence, which is a very individual thing. We're all different. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you could keep yourselves on mute, that would be incredible. We have a chat function, so please put any questions for Jane in the chat. I'll be putting them to Jane as we go. If you have any specific or personal questions related to a sort of specific skin issue that maybe requires a little bit more in-depth consultation, we have Tiffany from Jane Scrivner in with us today. You can message her directly, or there is an email, I'm just looking, it's info@janescrivner.com, and Jane will be able to answer your questions in due course. But let's hope for some lively chat this evening, and of course, a wonderful facial with the products that you've received from Jane. You do have everything you need. There is a chance now to go and grab your bowl of water if you don't have that, or a towel. So we'll start in a few minutes, so please grab your bowl of water, your towel, if you're doing the facial along with us. Cameras on, cameras off, it's totally up to you. And you will be receiving a recording of tonight's event in an email tomorrow, so you can go over any questions. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. You can repeat the facial along with Jane at your leisure. Jane, I'm going to disappear and hand over to you, I think.
Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. It was a really great response when Get the Gloss launched it, so I'm very happy that we have a good amount of people following this evening. As Victoria said, I'm Jane Scrivner, and I created Jane Scrivner Skincare as the company as it is now 10 years ago, so we're in our 10-year anniversary. But I've been in the industry for just over 30 years now. And again, as Victoria talked about, I started as a facialist and training spa therapists around the world. And being a spa therapist, being a facialist, the thing that happened then and that happens now is that you will get clients always coming into the room with a specific issue. And that's what sort of started my juices flowing as far as the skincare industry, because I think we look at too much detail very correctly, but what I wanted to do is understand the fundamental nature of skin. And that's what I got from being a facialist and traveling in the spas. The other aspect of being a facialist and traveling in spas is that they bring you, when you're doing facials, if you need an oil, wherever you are in the world, they just bring the most gorgeous oils. And I'm saying gorgeous because we can get gorgeous oils in the UK, but they were kind of like fresh. It's almost like they literally just picked them the day before the course. And whereas in the UK, you always trained with sweet almond oil or sunflower oil, nothing wrong with those oils at all. Being in Chile, the rosehip oil was just unbelievable. The texture, and we'll talk about this later because it's in one of the products we're going to use. But also things like jojoba oil, again, getting that first cold pressing. It's all about, it was like having fresh food to feed your skin. And that's what got me thinking, if people are looking at issues with their skin, and they're always just pinpointing, You know, you look, we all do it. We look in the mirror first thing in the morning, you think, oh, jeepers, I've got this happening, or I've got this happening. But you never stand back and look at your skin as a whole. You sort of target products and buy products that will work on an individual issue, rather than stepping back and saying, what am I doing to kind of underpin my skin? And what you all have in your boxes that arrive is a whole selection. I won't call them homework cards because they're not homework, but they are cards that if you, after this session, and you've heard some of the things I've said, if you step back and take a moment and just flick through them, hopefully that will backfill some of the information that I give you, some of the things that you feel and see as a result of the facial, and then also pair it with this card, which I know you all received, which will help take you through the steps. And the reason I'm pointing out the cards is because I want you to enjoy the facial. It's almost like we're going to a restaurant, but we're not going to do the tasting menu. We're going to feed our skin healthy. We're going to do the full menu. We're going to do organic. We're going to do natural. We're going to do oils. We're going to do butters. And even though this facial is going to take us about half an hour, if you take out the massage aspect of it, I can convince you, hopefully, that this whole process can be done in 5 minutes. It's 5 steps and it's 5 minutes. So please don't think, well, that was a lovely evening, but I haven't got half an hour to do my facial in the morning, and the same thing in the evening. So the plan is we're going to go through the 5 steps, and I'll talk about those in detail at the moment. We're going to apply and remove together. I want you to also consider the intention of the application, because again, we expect so much from our skincare. Skincare is a huge thing. And as a formulator, I put my life into the formulations, but then we kind of expect to get the whole thing done in a few seconds and just get the product on, get the product off, job done, out of here. So it's kind of having that intention of application. It's about appreciating that the longer the product is on the skin, so if you are using 5 minutes, maybe you could stretch it to 10 minutes after this, and just allowing those ingredients to work their magic, to feed the skin healthy, so that anybody that you see, and more importantly, when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's like, oh, wow, my skin is glowing. And that means you can literally tick that box, off to work, off to friends, off to whatever. And skincare becomes something that you have got down. So your skin is looking good, so you don't have to. And I often say, I make skincare my life so that you don't have to, which is a huge grand statement. But it is. I live skincare 24/7, and I potter with ingredients and I play with those so that you guys get to apply it, see the difference, and then move on. So that's what it's all about. So we're about feeding the skin healthy. We're about getting the glow. We're about not necessarily focusing on the problem, rather than saying, I've got this spot or I've got this dry patch. Because for me, I'm not going to be thinking about the spot or the dry patch. I'm going to be saying, are you actually giving your skin water? Are you feeding your skin? Are you stimulating your skin? And this is what got me to the 5 a day. And we all use the 5 a day thing about 5 fruit and vegetables a day. But it makes sense for skin. So for me, the 5 steps, I absolutely think every skin can handle and should have every day, is to be thoroughly cleansed, should be beautifully, gently and appropriately exfoliated, hydrated. You know, when we eat food and water every day. So the skin needs food and water every day. Nourished, and for me, that's where I put the butter balms and the oils in, all these oils that I've experienced from around the world. And then protected. We don't have an SPF in our range, but for me, protection is putting a protective layer on in the form of a moisturizer. So I keep the formulas simple, and I keep the formulas fairly low on the ingredient level, but they have to, for me, they have to really work their magic. So we're going to be 5 steps a day. Hopefully it's a 5-minute routine, and you will start to see what your skin looks like and feels like when it has been fed and watered and taken care of. And then just to add to that before we get headbands on, is the fact that we are going to, I've forgotten what I'm going to say now. Yes, we're going to take it slowly, and we're going to apply these steps. And we're going to use 5 products, which I believe are the place to start. But we have lots of other ways to nourish the skin. So in that oil section, if you don't like the particular oil that you're using, there are other oils. And if you are maybe experienced skin, sort of 55, 65 upwards, it might be that you need a richer nourished section. And oh, I know what I was going to say. That's it. Our protection at the end, we don't have an SPF, but you would put this on. And it's, for me, it's the moisturizer is the protection. But I'll go through that in more detail, because I think that becomes more relevant when you're actually applying and working with the product. What we're also going to do, and what you all have, is in a sort of a tissue paper all wrapped up. So if you want to sort of rip that one open now, if you haven't already, if it was me, I would have opened the box the minute it arrives. Don't worry about the sequence sheet, because I'll be taking you through that, but get your facelift blade ready to use. And we're going to put that into the facial. And you can do that within your facial every morning and evening. That would be stunning. Or you can just keep that with you. I have that on my coffee table at home. So if I'm watching something on TV, I will be doing my facelift treatment. So it's like my facial massage treatment, anytime that's convenient, anytime that's relaxing. So I want you to sort of just spend a moment whilst I'm opening a few pots, just to make sure you've got everything open and ready. And then we are going to don the headband, which is in your envelope here. So headbands on. I can't see any of you, so I'm just hoping that we can get there. And the reason we came up with this stretchy headband is because I want it to be able to go right the way into the hairline, so you can get all the makeup off, but at the same time, it's not going to feel uncomfortable. So the good old headband, scrape it back. If you don't want to get any product in your hair, just slide it forward. There's enough of the headband at the back. We thought a lot about the headband, so that you can tuck your hair in at the back if you want to. I'm just going to tuck that and do that so that you have got access to the entire face and neck area. In fact, I'm going to take my necklace off as well, so that it doesn't get in the way. Okay, so to get on with the facial, you have got your nourishing cleanser. And this is, for me, cleansing is so important with a skincare routine, because if you don't get the dirt off or the makeup off and then cleanse the pores as well, then every follow-on product is not going to be able to work its hardest, because there's something in the way, or it's not as efficient as it could be. So we're going to use this cleanse, and we're going to use it twice. So if you've got your sample pot, don't scoop the whole lot out. We just want a nice small amount. So our nourishing cleanser, it was the first product I ever made, first product I ever formulated. It was mainly because it was the only product I ever thought I'd do. So with the cleanser, we've got beeswax, which is really decongestant for pores. So if you've got blackheads or breakout, something around the chin or the nose area, over time, you will see that clear. So this is that part of looking at the entire face, rather than just looking, I've got maybe blackheads here or congestion here. We're going to work on the whole face. Also, somebody said cleanser smells gorgeous. It's absolutely divine. And people do talk about it feeling like a spa. And I guess that's because of my days in the spa industry. But also, these things have to feel nice. It's about being mindful. It can still take a minute to do your cleanse. But if it's a gorgeous minute, then why wouldn't you do that? And also, you don't need very much at all. The other ingredient, we've got beeswax, which is the decongestant, which holds it in the butter balm. We've also got jojoba oil, and it's an organic jojoba oil. And I choose jojoba because it's really, really low. It's between 1 and 2 on the occlusive or the comedogenic scale. So it will not congest your pores. It's also pro-elastin and pro-collagen. And it's also a non-oil oil. So even though it feels like an oil, it's not a true oil, it's a vegetable wax. And it's closer to your skin's natural oils. So if you are concerned about having oily skin and using an oil-based balm, jojoba is one of the perfect oils to use. So I hope you're all ready with your little scoop. And this is another thing, you don't need very much. And we're going to layer 5 steps, and we're going to do the cleanse twice. Because we're layering 5 steps, it means you can use a really, really small amount. And as we use each product, I'm going to tell you maybe some of the mistakes that people have been making to help you get that better. So this is my cleansing pot. Within the beeswax and the jojoba, I've put more makeup on today just so I can prove that it will come off. So this is how much cleanser I've got. Being a spa therapist, of course, I would normally put it on the back of my hands, but I'm going to put it on my fingers like that. And I'm just going to melt it and spread it slightly. Then I'm going to apply it to my skin, and you could take that nice breath in, and that's the smell of the essential oils. So you're going to get the sandalwood essential oil, Lang Lang. So you've got a masculine in sandalwood, you've got Lang Lang, very feminine, but the two together really balance themselves out. Notice I'm using the ends of all my fingers. I'm not just doing the tips here, because the warmth of my skin against the warmth of the pads of my fingers is going to melt this cleanser. And I'm going slowly. So many times when I see people doing facial, it's like, I'm doing my cleanser here now. It's like, don't do that. You can do that. That melts deeper, melts makeup away quicker. It's nicer on your skin and it feels more gentle. And just go everywhere, work backwards and forwards on the brows. I've got eyeliner and I've got mascara. Special treat, had to get up early to put all the makeup on. Really work, and I wear lenses, so I'm being gentle over my lashes, on my forehead, around the neck and the chin area. If I was wearing lip liner, the whole thing nice and slowly and gently. Be nice to yourself. Again, it's the intention of the application. So you can see I've smudged all my eye makeup. I don't have a tap to hand, so I've got some warm water in a jug. So I'm going to pour that into the bowl, feeling a bit like Nigella. And then once I've got the water in the bowl, I'm going to take my fluffy mitt, completely soak it, wring it out. And again, removal. I always think in a spa, you've got so many products that go on the face and on the skin. And I look at trolleys sometimes, and if I can see sort of 25 products, I'm thinking, we've got an hour, we've got to get 25 products on, 25 products off. So maybe we could use less and leave them on for longer, but also you've got to make the application and the removal a nice process, because we're going to be doing it a lot. So nice warm mitt, hold it onto the skin, because again, the warmth from that is going to help melt the makeup into the cleanser to make it easier to glide away. Again, we are not scrubbing the sideboard. We are just holding the mitt, and I'm going to take all this off with one side of my mitt, because I'm going to do the second cleanse to prove that a second cleanse is really beneficial. So if you're concerned about getting over the eye area, what is a good thing to do is take the mitt, take your hand out, and then you can do that. And you can see I can still look quite easily. I'm not pulling at my eye. I'm going to put that back on. It's looking quite scary on this side. I'm going to carry on removing underneath the eye area. My makeup is waterproof mascara rather. And then you can see how glorious that is. So that's the first cleanse. I'm going to drop my mitt back into the bowl, and I'm going to take an even smaller amount. So it looks like most of my makeup has gone. I haven't got a mirror. So I'm going to take even less this time. It's about half of what I had last time. So if you're using the small pot, you haven't even used half of it yet. So this pot will last you a good couple of months with a double cleanse in the morning and a double cleanse in the evening. Again, nice and slowly melt that. And this is the cleanse where we're cleansing out. So we're getting our skin cleansed deeply without stripping the natural oils, without challenging the integrity of your skin's natural sebum either. We're working with your oils, not screaming them off so that all the next products you have to do is replacing everything that you stripped from your skin. So a non-stripping, nourishing cleanser. And that's why we called it the Nourishing Cleanser. Nice and slowly, underneath the eye area. Lashes again, just to check that everything's there around the chin area. Little bit left on the eyes. Take the time to smell that beautiful essential oil blend. And then again, with the mitt, I'm going for the clean side this time. That was my dirty side. Same thing, hold it really beautifully. Work around the eye area, just to make sure all the makeup's off, and glide that off. And I think all that makeup has gone. So now I'm going to prove whether or not I did a really good first cleanse. No, I didn't. So therefore, that is why we do a second cleanse. And people say, why do I need to do a second cleanse? If when you guys do this, this is perfectly clean, then you are a superb Olympic class cleanser. I'm not. So the second cleanse makes it perfect. If you've got a towel to hand, this is a good time to start to see how your skin feels when it's deeply cleansed but not stripped. So I just buff it dry, because if you're doing this when it's wet, your skin, your hand will drag. But now I can go in and feel that my skin feels beautifully soft. It doesn't look like I've sort of scrubbed it to pieces. It still has a slight, I say, tack to it, and that's because I've used an oil. I haven't scraped anything clean. People say it should be sort of squeaky clean. The only thing that should be squeaky is maybe a bowl of apples or your dishes when they come out of the dishwasher. Skin should feel mildly tacky, as in the natural oils are there nourishing your skin. So first step, we've cleansed everything away. We haven't stripped the natural oils. We've used a decongestant in the beeswax. We've used the essential oils that were on there long enough to sink in and help to balance out the skin's sebum production, give a real uplift of fragrance. And then we're ready to go for the next step. The next step for me is an exfoliation, and I do believe in a daily exfoliation, and we use Skin Foliate. And this is a natural fruit sugar, pineapple enzyme, alpha hydroxy, beta hydroxy acid exfoliator. That's not what it's called, that's my description of it. And the reason it's alpha hydroxy and beta hydroxy is because the alpha hydroxy will go on the surface and lift off the dead skin cells that haven't gone through the cleanse and the mitt. And the beta hydroxy, which you might know as salicylic acid, that goes below. So that's going to cleanse out the pores. So any sort of acne related conditions, it's going, yes, the skin feels amazing after cleanser. Well done, Hayley. You did it perfectly then. The beta hydroxy is going to drop below. Think B is below. So that's going to really clean deeply on the pores and cut through any oil that's clogging the pores. So shake this. I tend to use reusable cotton pads, but any cotton pad that you have. I shake it because we've got frankincense essential oil in there as well, and sometimes that comes to the surface. So I drizzle, whoops, all over my notes, quite a healthy amount. And with this, it's literally, it takes a second to do, and we are going to, I sort of say wipe on. So I'm just going to glance round. Absolutely okay to use your hands. You could splash it into the palm of your hands and just press it in. We just want to leave the smallest dampness of it. Remember, this is an acid. It's not a dangerous acid, it's a beautiful acid. And what we've got in that acid is all those enzymes and acids just working away to lift and unstick the dead skin cells and work deeper down into the pores. So if your skin is pinking, you can see that mine is pinking. That's great, as it's going to, when we talk about the acid mantle, and I'll talk about this in a bit, but the acid mantle is the surface acidity of the skin. So the pH of the skin should be around 4.5 to 5.5. So if you've done something, or maybe you've stripped with your cleanser, or you've been somewhere, maybe been down to the seaside, the air, the ozone areas are higher, it's more alkaline, it's about 6. If you're doing that and then you're reconfiguring your acid mantle, you're going to get what we call that sort of elastic band snap back. My skin is starting to sort of, I can't feel it anymore now, but that means that as you use your skin foliate, it's pinging back and reconfiguring on a daily basis. And the other good thing to know about that is if the surface acidity of your skin is configured to between 4.5 and 5.5, it means the surface biome can be hosted really well. And the surface biome is the good bacteria that sits on the surface of the skin. It defends against any bad bacteria. So keyboard, if you don't clean your keyboard every day, or just touching anything else that might have some germs on, and then we go, oh my goodness, or something on the face, then it's going to help defend that. So it allows the good bacteria to host and survive and work on your behalf, and does not allow the bad bacteria in. So skin foliate is a real one-stop. Do not scrub mechanically or physically. It's literally draping on the acid to let it sort of work away on the surface and do that job. Somebody said it smells amazing. That's really lovely. It's the smell I get is a mixture of the essential oil, the frankincense, and then also apple cider vinegar. We're using a lot of an organic, unpasteurized apple cider vinegar from a well-known British producer, and that's the malic acid, and that will help to really work away at the surface. So if you're not sure about it, it disappears on application, but if you do like it, which somebody did, that's fantastic. Next step, now we're down onto the smaller containers. This is hyaluronic buzz. So we've cleansed our skin. We have not stripped the skin's natural oils, but we've cleansed the surface and we've worked to decongest on the pores. Then we have exfoliated. We've removed any dead skin that was sitting on the surface after that cleanse, and we've helped to reconfigure the acid mantle to host the surface biome, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So far, the barrier function is intact. We have not stripped anything from it, so those natural oils are still there, and the surface biome and the acid mantle have been reconfigured. So we are really doing a good job for our skin. So hyaluronic buzz is the cool drink of water. If you are nourishing and feeding your skin and you're cleansing it, but you're not giving it any water, water is one of the most important things. And the best way to get water onto skin is with a hyaluronic. So with your little squirty bottle, it's more difficult to get out of, but I'd say go for 3 or 4 pumps. Again, I'm doing back of hand just because it's the industry I work in. I just spread it out on the pads of my fingers. Your skin feeling warmer, is that normal? That's going to feel stimulated, and that's the skin foliate because you have increased the blood flow to the surface. It's skin foliate and the cleanse because we use the warm mitt. It's kind of like taking your skin to the gym. So now we're doing the fresh, cool water. And when you're down the gym to cool down, you drink the water. So apply this, glide it over. It's going to feel very, very silky. And we just say again, with hyaluronic buzz, which is a hyaluronic mixed with aloe gel, and then also extract of buzz button. If you think it's gone, you can come back with some more. So I'm going to squirt mine a little bit more, not squirt, dispense. Extract of buzz button was an ingredient from a plant that they used in medieval days to cure toothache, because what it does is it numbs the nerves and the muscles only very, very gently and very naturally. So they would chew on the buzz button if they had toothache, and then they couldn't feel it anymore. So what we're talking about is by using extract of buzz button every day, they call it nature's Botox. I wouldn't go as far as saying that, but what it's doing, it's relaxing the muscles. So we say it's banishing the wrinkles into the wild where they belong. So it's just very, very gently smoothing and soothing. And this is where you have a card that says plum versus prune. So if your skin is dehydrated, it's going to have more lines because you've got that collapse. If your barrier function hasn't got the oil it needs, hasn't got the water it needs, either because you're stripping the oil or you're not replenishing, and it hasn't got the water, that sort of lipid and hydration layer is not underneath the skin. So if we're putting those lipids and hydration back in, it's like plumping up a pillow. It's supporting the skin spindles and allowing you to get that bounce back rather than that sort of accelerated collapse you get if your skin hasn't been nourished, fed and watered, if you haven't fed your skin healthy. So my hyaluronic buzz has sunk in now. And now we're on to nourish. So I hope is everybody keeping up? Everybody okay on that one? We're going to go for nourish. Nourish, when you first start using the range, we always recommend that you start with Skin Elixir, because Skin Elixir is almost, it does sink straight in. And even though I went back in it, thanks for that, Emma, even though I went back with it, that's because I think I didn't apply enough the first time round. I would normally say don't go back and do a second layer, because it does sink in, and that's what we want it to do. We want it to sit below the surface. If you've got this postcard here, take the time to have a read of this. We want the hyaluronic buzz to start to work within that cell wall, the barrier function, to sort of support the skin spindles. And now we're about to put the lipid in, so not getting any of this collapse. We're plumping up that layer of skin. We're filling it with the natural oils and replenishing the natural oils and the water so that it stays nice and plumped. And that was the plum versus prune card. I think those two pictures show what I mean pretty much in its entirety. Going back to Skin Elixir, we choose Skin Elixir because it's almost identical to the cleanser. It is an organic jojoba oil, so very low on the occlusive comedogenic scale, so you're not going to get blocked pores. It's got the same blend of essential oils, so we're not adding more essential oils into it, and it's the same pro-collagen, pro-elastin, non-oil oil. This is where we get a bit scientific, because a non-oil oil, it's actually a long-chain wax ester, which means it will work beautifully with your skin's natural oils. With an oil, I know there are some people that say if you have to warm a product, you know, it's not necessary. For me, I always warm an oil. I've done about 3 squirts of that. If you're working with the full size, it's literally 1 pump. I warm that in the palms of my fingers, or the flat bit of my fingers, not all over my hands. I don't want it to all go over my hands. The reason I warm it is if you cook with an oil, you know that if maybe you put olive oil in a pan, it's really, really thick. Rose oil, exactly the same thing. It's jojoba oil, but with rose essential oil instead of the blend of essential oil. So it's the same base, the same jojoba, the same oil-free oil. So you're working on the same principle. So warm it up, like I was saying with olive oil. If you watch it warm up in the pan, it goes finer, which means you don't have to use as much, and it means it's going to sink deeper. So you've warmed it, then I always say press in, and do it nice and slowly. You could just sit there and hold your hands together on the face and breathe in those essential oils. Again, we've got ylang ylang, we've got sandalwood, we've got lavender, all those beautiful oils, skin loving, they've all got a purpose. Correct, even though you have oily skin, this is jojoba, this is a great oil, it's low on the comedogenic scale, it's gonna work with oily skin. Then when you've pressed it in, just buff it lightly. And this is important here. If you applied too much BioBuzz, or you layered it too much several times, because more isn't always more. It's like having more food. Let's have seconds. You don't necessarily need seconds with any of these because we're layering. You might get the BioBuzz pilling. So just press and then buff. Okay, so normally this is where you go on to finish your skincare routine, but we have cleansed without stripping your natural oil, so we are keeping the barrier function intact. We're not challenging your skin's natural oil, so the skin doesn't think, what have you just done? I now have to produce more to put back what you just took away. Then we're going to exfoliate so that we can work deep down into the pores, get rid of any excess oil out of the pores, and also remove any dead skin cells and stimulate the surface of the skin, reconfigure the acid mantle to 4.5 to 5.5, which means we get to host the protective bacteria on the surface and fight against the bad bacteria. Then we've given our skin a nice cool drink of water with the BioBuzz, and then we have given it the food, the nourishment. And at this stage today, we have used Skin Elixir. So again, it's that non-oil oil, so your skin is not going to be greasy. Normally you go straight onto your moisturizer, and that is your skincare routine taken care of. But this is where we're going to use the Gua Sha blade, or our facelift blade made out of carnelian crystal. 2 reasons I chose carnelian. One, if I'm honest, is because it's beautiful and it's kind of on brand. It's pinky red like the rose gold. But also carnelian for me is a purification and a blood circulation crystal, as well as a power and a root chakra energy crystal. And if you don't subscribe to any of that, it is okay to skip the acid stage. But if you're skipping, sorry, I'm just answering questions as they go along. If you're skipping the acid stage, if it's because you're not sure, then maybe use it once or twice a week at the start. And if you're still not sure, maybe wet down your cotton pad with water first, drizzle a small amount. So you're bringing your skin up to using it, because it is going to reconfigure your acid mantle. And usually the reason that you are sensitized, and that's where I talk about people always saying I have sensitive skin, I will want to know why it's sensitive. Is it sensitive because it's dehydrated? Is it sensitive because it's hungry? Is it sensitive because you keep stripping the oils and never letting them back onto the skin, kind of thing? Now, I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong, but I think sometimes we can overuse an ingredient, especially something like a vitamin C. Everybody thinks vitamin C is fantastic. It is, but only use it twice, 3 times, or whatever the manufacturer says a week, because actually vitamin C is very, very acidic. So if you think, wow, that had an amazing result, I'm going to use it every night, the vitamin C stops being beneficial and starts stripping and throwing your skin out of its acidity. So it can't host the surface biome, so it can't protect you, and it can't reconfigure. So it's going to be left open, and you're going to get much more effect and damage and stuff getting through and getting in. So if you don't like it, I would really try and encourage you to build up to it, maybe twice a week, watered down, not putting water in the bottle, but watering down your application method. See how that goes. So Gua Sha blade, you have the routine, but basically think of your face as the center line, and we are trying to comb up and into the hairline, or behind and down the jaw, because all around here we have things called lymph nodes, which are like sort of mini rubbish bins. So any sweep you can do to stick something in the bin is what we're going to be trying to do. Also with the Gua Sha, you've got a really small area here, you've got a groovy area here, you've got a nice bowed bit here, and you've got a really long curve here. So somewhere on this crystal fits everywhere on your face. Just time check. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. So I always start on the forehead. I do one side, then the other side. Then I start to work the smaller areas. I do the eye area, underneath the eye area, real cheek lift, cross, top lip, underneath, and they're all kind of smile moves. So you can see that basically what I'm wanting to do is lift up, because if you stimulate the muscles and lift, muscles have muscle memory. So anything you could do. Forehead, it's quite good to put the blade with the curve. You apply it to your skin and then drop it to 45 degrees. And literally we are combing. I don't know if you can see in the light, I'm sort of just combing the skin into the hairline. I am not putting in and scraping. You'll see that I get a lot of redness. It's lighter, but it's not gliding across the surface. If you see, if I do it on my arm, you'll see that I drop the weight of the stone, and then you can see that I'm just curving the flesh. I'm not digging in and scraping, which is actually what gua means. Gua means scrape sand. So we're not doing that. So I'm just dropping it onto the forehead. 45 degrees keeps it softer, and just comb across. And you do this to tone 4 times. So 2, 3, 4. Wherever you do one side, do the other side. So don't do one side of the face and then the other. So again, drop the stone in, turn it to 45 degrees, and just comb gently across. You're just moving and stimulating the blood. And I like to say this when I'm training therapists, it's like if you had a bubble in a sticker, you're just gliding it across and trying to get into all the areas, just slide that blood along. You can see I've got slight pinking, which is stimulation. Anything you do that brings blood to the surface means the blood has to come from somewhere, which it comes from deeper down, which means it's anti-inflammatory further down. And then it goes down, which means it's flushing through the system. And if you're combing towards the lymph nodes, any waste material, lactic acid, build-up of metabolic acids in the face are being drained away. So puffiness under the eyes. I'm going to use a nice cool bit there, a small bit there. And you can see that I can do the brow bone, and I'm not pulling my eye. My eye is not affected. I'm not sort of being dragged or anything like that. So I'm combing, I think that was 3 or 4 times. And then I'm going to do the other side. Get in as close as you can. Obviously, normally I'm not doing this into a screen, but I don't need a mirror when I'm doing it, which is why I can do it even if I'm reading a book. So it's kind of good to have one of these on you at all times. If you've ever got a moment, just a nice little light combing of the skin, like you might brush your hair. Comb that through. Down. Always take the work out into the hairline. Don't just stop it there. Then I'm going to work underneath the eye, but because we haven't got a huge amount of time, I'm going to use that groovy bit. I'm going to come down the nose, and then I'm going to smile on my cheekbone. So 1, 2, remembering that 45 degrees. 3, no, it doesn't always have to be done over oil. If you have cleansed, sorry, question dropped in again. If you have cleansed and your skin is really clean and not feeling tight, which it shouldn't do if you're using the cleanser, you can do this over cleanser. In fact, my favorite place to do is BioBuzz, because then we've got what we call in the industry grip, not slip. So a real nice stimulation. I also like to do this. I talked about the vitamin C product earlier. If I put vitamin C paste on in the evening before I go to bed, I quite like to just comb this into my skin, if you like, with that. So any product that you apply, it can be done at any stage. You just don't want it to slip over. You need to have enough purchase on the skin. Smaller area here. So I'm just going to put that stone in. Remember the 45 degrees. And with this one, I like to take it underneath the cheekbone and lift up. So across underneath the cheekbone, lift up. Underneath the cheekbone and lift up. Can't count and do, so I'm hoping that was 4. The other side, onto the top lip. Remember the 45, because if you're doing that, it's not as comfortable and it doesn't do as much work. We're wanting to get that nice picking up of the skin and combing it. So we're draining any puffiness up into that hairline. You're going to get a slight amount of pinking. If you're looking really red, you're too firm. Then I'm going to do from center of chin. So I've turned my crystal around now so that I've got it. I've got the point of it like that. Drag it across. I'm sort of on the bone because I know I'm going to do another one underneath. So with this one, I'm going to go right the way along the jawline and sort of like into the ear. So 2, 3, 4. Swap over, same thing, stone on, tip it to 45. Take it to those lymph nodes so that it goes into the body's waste disposal system, the lymph system. Any puffiness, any congestion that's sitting underneath the surface, any inflammation. Remember, the blood is coming up to the surface, which means the blood then has to go somewhere, which means it's going down into the body and then is flushed around the system, because you can't move blood in one area. It's part of a whole system. And then to finish, I'm going to do the neck. So I'm going to be really sort of brave, and I'm going to do the whole of the neck with the whole of the side and into the hairline behind. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can come up the neck to the jaw and behind. Up the neck 45 degrees to the jaw and behind. And you do the whole neck area, round underneath the jawline. And if you've got congestion or puffiness, same with the muscles here that go from here down over the masseter muscle, these are really big muscles. So if they're taut, we've got something like 450 muscles in our face. If they're taut, you're never going to get that definition. If they're nice and relaxed, you start to get that definition of the cheekbone. So this is a really nice way to sort of get back some definition, as well as massaging and lifting. What's not to love? You can also gua sha across your shoulders. You can gua sha the back of your neck. You can gua sha arms. You can gua sha anywhere. And you can gua sha as many times as you want to. So you could gua sha every day. You could do a 5-minute meditation with a gua sha blade. And that's it. If you wanted to finish, if you've got grooves here, they call the 11s, you can take that and comb up. So there aren't really any rules. It's just you're always wanting to just imagine everything's going into the lymph nodes. And that also means that whatever product that you used it with is now beautifully absorbed. So I am going to finish with the products that we've got with a nice little dash of OO cream, which is meant to be over oil. So it's definitely this stage. It's after the nourish. So with our 5-course meal, we've done a really hearty cleanse. We've cleaned our plates. Then we've done an exfoliation. We've lifted all the dead skin cells. We've reconfigured the acid mantle and hosting the surface biome. Then a beautiful drink of water combined with a nourishing oil so that we are replenishing and supporting the collagen, the elastin, and that sort of matrix that gives you that beautiful glow and that spring back. And now we're going to want to put sort of like a protective layer, if you like. Victoria said OO cream is her favourite moisturiser. It is absolutely gorgeous. And some people are a little bit scared when they take the lid off of the colour. I don't know if you can see that, or you've got one in front of you so you can see it. And somebody said to me, that can't be a natural colour. How can that be natural? And the first response is, have you seen, the colours of nature in your garden? Some of the colours that they come up with. But the reason it's that colour is because we have used a cream base that's made of colloidal oatmeal, which of course is white. Oatmeal is white. We've used some vanilla, which is it's a much sort of underrated ingredient in skincare. It's very calming, very soothing, anti-inflammatory. But also we've got a whole load of rosehip oil. And if you can see anything white going, anything this colour going into a white cream is almost certainly going to turn it orange. But do not overuse. I'm going to use a scoop. I'm going to literally show you that that's the amount you really need to go on your skin. You can always come back for more, but I just don't like waste. So dash that. I tend to put a dash on each cheek, chin, forehead, and then if I've got any more, spread that out, neck area. So there's nothing left on my hand. There's a little bit left on my hand. And you can see, so we are wanting to literally apply the finest. I used to say it's like a dash of OO cream. So it's the finest film. And what happens is the water in the cream sinks into your skin and works on the hydration. Oh, I can see a question about the wooden scoops. I can't see the end of the question. Do I always use them? If I'm honest, I don't at home. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I always do in a demonstration. If you are the only person using your product, by the time you've cleansed, your hands are clean. So I don't have an issue with people putting fingers into pots. If you share your pot, if you can't guarantee that your hands are beautifully clean, certainly for your cleanse, then definitely use the scoop. Jojoba oil is another oil. Another one of its properties is it has the lowest threshold of rancidity, which is a very posh way of saying it's really hard for it to go off. Unless you're actually pouring water into the top of the pot and leaving it somewhere warm, it will not host any bacteria, which is another reason it's really great on the skin. But it's kind of a good habit to get into. And certainly I wouldn't be sharing my skincare anyway. But miraculously, sometimes in people's homes, the cleanser seems to go down quicker than it might normally do. And then you find out that somebody else that lives with you on your property is also using it and getting that beautiful glow. So if you look, anybody's got a suspicious suspicious glow that's just arrived on their skin, just check whether or not your skincare is going down too quickly. Yes, exactly, yes. It's kind of like an under-lock and key. Forget product fridges, we need product safes in our houses. So for me, what that's done, the OO cream has taken away any excess glow from the oil if you've used too much oil, or if you didn't do your gua sha to massage that in. And we've got a slightly mattifying effect, but at the same time, the colloidal oatmeal is going to dry down and leave a beautiful tissue, fine, thin film to keep the moisture in. So to prevent from any accelerated water loss, you're still going to get, before the night balm, no, I'd use it over the balms. So OO cream is over oil, it's always the last step. And if it's during the day, then it's your SPF. So if you think of OO cream as kind of, it's putting the lid on your skincare, that fine film of oatmeal is going to dry down, getting your skin ready for anything else that's applied. So I think we've applied everything. I think we're sort of on good timing. So this is the time, just feel your skin. It might feel quite warm because we've really stimulated with the gua sha. We've put lots of products on there, which of course has taken longer than it might normally, but we have followed these steps for you to use as revision. It is UU cream. I name these products, and I think I do these in a sort of a little weird bubble, because we have people ordering 00 cream, we have people ordering OO cream or O cream. I don't mind what you call it, it will still work as brilliantly on your skin. So just feel how soft and nourished your skin feels. You can gua sha over the OO. I wouldn't necessarily gua sha again, because again, it's not more isn't always more. If your skin is feeling warm, the blood is moving, and just let contents settle. Just because something's good doesn't mean that you have to do more of it. Your skin is gonna be feeling warm. It's like you've taken it down to the gym. You've given it a whole load of food and a whole load of stimulation. And normally this would then, all that food and water, we tend to eat 3 times a day. We tend to only do skincare twice a day, if I'm lucky. I spoke to somebody today who was having issues, but she was only doing her skincare in the evening and wondering why her skin underneath the mask wasn't feeling good. And it's like, okay, if you're only going to do it once a day, do it in the morning so that you've got all that protection and that nourishment underneath the mask. But please start to think that you can do it twice a day. So I'm going to remove the headband, sort the hair out, and hopefully that you'll see on your own skin, when you feel it and you touch it, you'll see that your skin feels glow, it feels healthy, it feels like it's had a full-on professional facial that you could do just in moments. So I hope that has covered it, reminding you that you have pretty much everything I've said about the ingredients on all those postcards. Good, yes, smells like a spa. Remember the intention of the application. Using oil morning and night in general, yes, I do those 5 steps. So we cleanse, we exfoliate, we hydrate, we nourish, and we protect. And we do it twice a day, 5 steps, and then you get to see the difference on how your skin feels. It takes moments, just brings back that glow to your skin so that everybody's going, oh wow, you look amazing, what are you doing? That's fantastic. And then that's when you get to share your skincare secrets. Very welcome, Emma. Thank you very much. Every bit of information is on those postcards.
Oh, thank you so much, Jane. That has been incredible. I love all the kind of the food analogies. It really helps you to kind of remember what you're doing. You know, you give it water, or you clean, prepare your food, you give it water, you give it nutrients, and then you do a bit of exercise as well. I love the idea of muscle memory. That I've never heard that about gua sha, is that if you lift the muscles, they remember it. And that's really kind of motivated me to get back into my gua sha habits. So it's been so lovely having you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Really enjoyed having you here. You will be getting sent a recording of the event tomorrow if you want to go over the steps again. You've got your pack, and there will be the most amazing discount heading your way. It's 25% off, I think, Jane, exclusively for participants here. And so if you want to stock up on anything that you've tried this evening, or you want to try some new stuff, I've just got my favorite. This is one of your newest products, I think, Jane, Whipped Butter Polish Exfoliator.
Oh, yes,
I so recommend this.
Exfoliate step. So if you use Skinfoliate 5 days a week or 6 days a week, then maybe a Sunday physical exfoliation with those bamboo grinds. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's got this lovely kind of chocolate mousse texture, and it's whipped, and I just want to face plant in it all the time. I think I can smell it more than I put it on. So enjoy. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Jane. And we hope to see you at our next Get the Gloss Masterclass. Good night, everyone.